Looking outside of yourself to have a more fulfilling and happy life can be one of the worst ways to go about it. And it can even send you in a complete loop back to your own pain and suffering. And in this video, I'm going to share with you what you must do instead to have a more fulfilling, more purposeful, driven life. So with that being said, let's dive in. When we go through some kind of ordeal, existential crisis, pain, suffering, our life has just fallen apart maybe. Often what happens is we start to kind of look outside of ourselves. We feel we have to go on some kind of soul-seeking adventure, some holiday, I have to go traveling, or I have to find some book that will give me the answers to overcome my traumas, to help me heal, to make me feel like I am enough and I'm whole and I'm complete, and that will give me that answer that I need in that one little tip that will solve all my life's problems. And we start to fill our lives with consumerism because we feel we are not enough. We don't feel like we have our life in order. So what happens is we stuff our life filled with ego desires. And this is us looking outside of ourselves, something that will make us feel like, yeah, we are whole and complete when we are already whole and complete. We just don't realize it because of all of our traumas and programming. So maybe you have been there, you've kind of gone through some major breakup, your life's fallen apart, and you go, I'm going to discover myself, and you go on this like big massive girls holiday or some traveling, or you start to kind of fill that void with other kinds of desires because you believe it will kind of give you an answer. And there's nothing wrong with going soul searching and going to places to connect with people and travel, get to know the world. There's nothing wrong with that. But after a while, what happens is those resources outside of ourselves get used up because it's still not enough. It still doesn't give us the answer. So this means after a while, we stop using all of those external resources to make us feel happy, whole, and complete. So my partner recently said something really interesting to me, but before I dive into that, I'm just going to give a little bit of background and context. So for me, I have been going through a bit of a difficult time, emotionally, financially, and just dealing with a transition. So my son started kindergarten in September, and he used to be a childminder that, he was there for 6-7 hours a day for 3 days a week. And that's when I worked on creating content, working with my clients, doing my coaching business. And then he started at this new kindergarten that was only 3 hours in the morning, 3 days a week. So I've had to kind of deal with this whole new transition of what do I prioritize in my business? Those 3 hours, I don't have all this extra time to work on it and do the content and create content the way I used to. And so this has had effect on me emotionally and mentally. I've not been able to do things the way I used to be able to do it. So it's had an effect on me financially because I've not been able to make as much money as I was before because my hours are now being cut short because I'm not investing as much as time with taking on new clients because I don't have the time. And not only that, I'm doing this part-time. So it's just been such mental torture lately. And I was talking to my partner about it and I was getting quite upset. And he said to me, you don't realize that all of these things that you've got yourself in is because of your own choices that you've made. And what he meant by that was I made the choice for my son to go to this new kindergarten. I've made the choice to work from home, do my own online business, which is sometimes very hard to motivate yourself because you are working for yourself. And I've got to show up for my clients and trying to make money, and because it's not time exchanged for money in the 9-to-5 system. And so I was feeling very burnt out, I should say. And so when he said this to me, I just suddenly realized he's completely right, because I know this. Because we all make choices in life, and our life circumstances are an accumulation of all the poor or the good life choices that we've made in the past. And I just couldn't see that before. And it took him to give me a bit of a shake by saying that this is your fault because you've made these choices. And I was like, oh, yes, he's completely right. So going back to about what you must do instead to have a more fulfilling and happy, purposeful driven life and spiritually and feel healed is actually take a long, hard look at yourself and say to yourself, what choices have I made that have got me to this particular situation, particularly when we're having such a hard time in life. So we have to go within. This is what it means to go within. Start facing ourselves, asking those really hard questions to ourselves. And when we do this, we are no longer hiding from ourselves. We are being honest with ourselves. And not only that, it's the only way to go when all those external resources outside of ourselves are spent. We feel like there's nothing else outside of us that can give me the answer. And then we say enough is enough. And then we start to actually go within naturally. That's what occurs because nothing outside of you will actually give you the answer to your life or give you the answer to anything. It's always got to come from within. And this is what we mean. And this is what we must do instead of looking outside of ourselves to make ourselves happy, whole, complete, and fulfilled. We have to look at all the shit, the grit, the shadow first before we can make those more positive steps forward. And that's when we see the self. We sit with the self and we can start to make ourselves feel really empowered at this point because we can take ownership of all of those poor life choices, those poor shitty choices, and even the good ones. We can be in gratitude for all the good ones and be in gratitude for all the bad ones and the shitty things that happen to us. But we can really empower ourselves when we can take ownership of all of those shitty traits, those shitty behavior patterns, those shitty fucking poor life choices that we've made. And that's when the true empowerment, spiritually, mentally, physically, we can physically feel it. And so, but then we realize that we have full autonomy over our lives because we realize we can make choices, we can make better choices, rather than making these poor choices over and over again because we have some underlying belief there. And if you want to go further on your belief work, just you can apply for a 90-minute one-to-one call with me, and we identify wounds, triggers and beliefs and get to the bottom of that. The link will be in the description box below. So now you're finally being honest with yourself, sitting with your true divine consciousness if you've sat in meditation, and see all that you are and all that you are not. Because half the time it's an illusion, it's a construct of the thought. And just personality traits in our psyche. And so we begin to take a long, hard look at ourselves, ask those really hard questions. And we do this with shadow work. And shadow work is doing the work to really get to know ourselves on a deep level, going within, rather than seeking external validation, seeking external things to make us feel whole and complete. And for those that are not new to my work, you will know, of course, but those that don't know, I absolutely love journaling as a shadow work practice because it opens that channel up between your subconscious and you and the higher self in you, whatever you would like to call it. And that's where we can bring things that are in the unconscious into the conscious awareness. And so that's when we're asking ourselves those hard questions through journaling. And if you want to get your hands on a free journal prompt PDF, completely printable, that's 3 pages long of journal prompts to get to know yourself on a deeper level that are easy enough for beginners, click the link in the pinned comments below to get your free journal prompts now. So when we do all of this work and we finally go within, we're able to make better choices and integrate ourselves. And that's when we decide that we are actually whole, we are actually complete, and we're able to alchemize the pain and the suffering, all those ordeals that we've been through, because we change the energy of the ego, basically. We change it from a reactive choice to a responsive choice, a more conscious choice in our life. And when we do that, that's when we realize we do have the power all along to make our lives better. But then we're not reacting out of ego impulses. We've alchemized all of that. We've done the integration work. And so we can begin to have a more fulfilling and purposeful life. If you want to go deeper on shadow work, check out this video next. This is Shadow Work 101, about getting really comfortable with those uncomfortable questions and thoughts and feelings. So with that being said, I will see you in that video. Much love.